Texas prisons house some of the most dangerous gang members in the United States, many of whom are affiliated with violent prison gangs such as the Texas Syndicate, Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, Mexican Mafia, and Tango Blast. These inmates are often convicted murderers, drug traffickers, or high-ranking gang leaders who continue to operate their criminal enterprises from behind bars. Their influence extends beyond prison walls, with gang-related violence, extortion, and smuggling networks reaching communities across the state. Understanding who these individuals are and the structures they command is essential to addressing the ongoing threat of organized crime within Texas correctional facilities. Number 8. Genaro Ruiz Camacho Jr. Genaro Ruiz Camacho Jr., also known as Geno Camacho, was a mid-level cannabis trafficker whose criminal activities in Texas during the 1980s culminated in a series of brutal murders. Born on September 14, 1954, in Mercedes, Texas, Camacho's life of crime led to his execution by lethal injection on August 26, 1998, at the Huntsville unit in Texas. Camacho's early years were marked by involvement in drug trafficking, primarily focusing on smuggling marijuana from Mexico into Texas. Though not considered a major cartel figure, he maintained a reputation for ruthlessness and violence, often using intimidation and murder to enforce debts and silence potential threats. His criminal record included a juvenile conviction for a drug-related offense, and he was known to law enforcement as a dangerous and unpredictable figure. On May 20, 1988, Camacho orchestrated a violent attempt to collect a drug debt from Sam Wright, a 57-year-old associate in Pleasant Grove, Texas. Accompanied by accomplices Juan Jackson and others, Camacho invaded Wright's home, where Wright lived with his girlfriend, Evelyn Banks, and their 3-year-old son, Andre. Wright managed to escape during the confrontation. However, David L. Wilburn, a 25-year-old neighbor with a mental disability, inadvertently entered the scene and was forced to lie on the floor before being shot in the back of the head by Camacho. Following Wilburn's murder, Camacho and his associates abducted Evelyn and Andre Banks. 3 days later, their bodies were discovered in a shallow grave in Johnston County, Oklahoma, covered with kitty litter. Andre had been shot multiple times to ensure his death. After the murders, Camacho fled to Arcelia, Guerrero, Mexico, a region controlled by heavily armed drug lords, making extradition efforts perilous. The FBI, unable to secure his arrest in Mexico, devised a sting operation that successfully lured Camacho back to the United States, where he was apprehended near McAllen, Texas. Camacho faced both state and federal charges. In Texas, he was convicted of capital murder for Wilburn's death and sentenced to death. Federally, he was convicted under the Federal Kidnapping Act for the abduction and murder of Evelyn and Andre Banks, receiving a life sentence. Despite appeals, including claims of withheld evidence and questions about witness credibility, his convictions and sentences were upheld. On August 26, 1998, Camacho was executed by lethal injection. The procedure was delayed by 2 hours due to difficulties in locating a suitable vein. His final meal consisted of steak, a baked potato, salad, and strawberry ice cream. In his last statement, he expressed love for his family and a belief in an afterlife. Camacho's case remains a stark example of the violent measures employed by drug traffickers to enforce their operations and the complexities involved in prosecuting such crimes across state and national border. Number 7. Fred Gomez Carrasco. Fred Gomez Carrasco, also known as El Señor, was a notorious American drug baron of Mexican descent who rose to infamy in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Born on February 10, 1940, in San Antonio, Texas, Carrasco became one of the most powerful and feared drug traffickers along the Texas-Mexico border, overseeing a vast heroin and cocaine empire that extended from Guadalajara to major U.S. cities like San Diego and Chicago. Carrasco's criminal career began early. He served 2 years in prison in 1958 for a murder conviction without malice. By the late 1960s, he had established himself as a dominant figure in the drug trade, particularly in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. His ascent to power involved a brutal conflict with the Reyes Pruneda clan, resulting in approximately 100 execution-style murders, including more than 24 policemen. This violence prompted the Mexican army to intervene and occupy the city. In September 1972, Carrasco was arrested in Guadalajara, Mexico, with 213 pounds of heroin valued at over $100 million. However, by December of the same year, he managed to escape from a prison in Jalisco by bribing authorities and hiding in a laundry truck. He returned to the U.S., vowing never to be captured alive. In July 1973, Carrasco was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, after surviving 4 gunshot wounds inflicted by police during his apprehension. While incarcerated at the Huntsville prison in Texas, Carrasco masterminded a daring escape plan. On July 24, 1974, he and 2 accomplices took control of the prison library, taking 14 hostages, including librarians and fellow inmates. Over the course of an 11-day siege, the longest in U.S. prison history, Carrasco negotiated with authorities, demanding safe passage in exchange for the hostages' release. He had weapons smuggled into the prison concealed in hollowed-out hams and peach cans. On August 3, 1974, Carrasco attempted to execute his escape plan, using an armored car and taking 4 hostages handcuffed to himself and his accomplices. However, the plan failed when law enforcement intervened, using high-pressure fire hoses to disrupt the escape. In the ensuing chaos, Carrasco killed one of the hostages, librarian Elizabeth Besita, before committing suicide. Another accomplice also took his own life, while the third was captured and later executed. Carrasco's life and criminal exploits have left a lasting impact on popular culture, particularly within the Mexican-American community. Numerous corridos, traditional Mexican ballads, have been written about him, reflecting his complex legacy as both a feared criminal and a folk anti-hero. His story has been revisited in various media, including the podcast Standoff, which delves into the details of the Huntsville prison siege and Carrasco's life. Fred Gomez Carrasco's life was marked by violence, ambition, and a relentless pursuit of power. His actions not only shaped the drug trade along the Texas-Mexico border, but also left an indelible mark on the history of organized crime in the United States. Number 6. William Chun. William Glenn Chun, known by the moniker Big Head, is a prominent figure within the Aryan Circle, a white supremacist prison gang that originated in Texas. Born in Conroe, Texas, Chun rose through the ranks to become one of the gang's top leaders, orchestrating violent acts both inside and outside prison walls. Details about Chun's early life remain sparse, but his involvement with the Aryan Circle began in the early 2000s. The Aryan Circle was founded in 1985 by Mark Cowboy Gaspar as a splinter group from the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. While the Aryan Brotherhood shifted focus towards religion, the Aryan Circle maintained its criminal activities and white supremacist ideology. The gang enforces strict rules, requiring members to follow orders from higher-ranking individuals without question, often through threats, intimidation, and acts of violence. Chun's ascent within the Aryan Circle was marked by his willingness to engage in and order violent acts. He became one of the 5 highest-ranking leaders in the nation, using his position to enforce discipline and retaliate against perceived threats. The gang's structure is militaristic, with a defined hierarchy and a 5-member upper board overseeing operations. Members are identified by tattoos featuring Nazi imagery, such as the Iron Cross and swastikas, symbolizing lifelong allegiance. Chun's criminal activities have led to multiple convictions. Racketeering conspiracy. In November 2021, Chun was convicted in the Eastern District of Texas for racketeering conspiracy related to an attempted murder he ordered. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for this conviction. Attempted murder. In October 2022, Chun was convicted in the Southern District of Mississippi for violent crime and aid of racketeering, vicar, attempted murder. He had ordered the 2017 stabbing of an inmate at U.S. Penitentiary Yazoo City because he believed the victim was homosexual. The attack resulted in severe injuries, including rib fractures and a collapsed lung. Chun's leadership role involved ordering violent stabbings against rival gang members and those he suspected of cooperating with law enforcement. He also engaged in direct acts of violence, including beating an inmate in Pennsylvania whom he believed was an informant. Chun's commitment to white supremacist ideology was evident in his personal life. An arrest report from 2018 detailed an incident where he assaulted his wife after discovering a photo of her with black friends. The report also mentioned that Chun's middle school yearbook was covered with hate imagery, including Confederate flags and KKK symbols. William Glenn Chun's life is a testament to the dangers posed by prison gangs like the Aryan Circle. His rise to power was fueled by a commitment to white supremacist ideology and a willingness to use violence to maintain control. His convictions and life sentence serve as a reminder of the ongoing efforts by law enforcement to combat organized crime and hate-based violence within the prison system. Number 5. Charles Tilman. Charles Lee Tilman, Jr., born in 1987 in Missouri City, Texas, is a documented member of the Crips gang. His criminal history includes convictions for assault and drug-related offenses. In 2011, he was convicted of assault family violence and sentenced to 3 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ. In 2015, he was convicted of manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance and received a 14-year sentence. He was released on parole in December 2019. In May 2021, Tilman was implicated in a homicide in LaGrange, Texas. A warrant was issued for his arrest on June 4, 2021, in connection with the May 30th shooting death of 40-year-old David Wayne Harrison, Jr. at the River Valley apartment complex. The Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles also issued a warrant for violating his parole. On September 15, 2021, Tilman was added to the Texas 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. In November 2021, he was featured as the month's highlighted fugitive, and the reward for information leading to his arrest was increased to $8,500. Tilman was apprehended on November 9, 2021, in Killeen, Texas, by members of the U.S. Marshals Lone Star Fugitive Task Force and Texas Department of Public Safety special agents. His arrest was facilitated by a tip received through Crime Stoppers. Number 4. Jeremy Weatherall. Jeremy Weatherall, a Dallas native born in 1988, emerged as a significant figure within the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, ABT, a white supremacist prison gang notorious for its violent activities and criminal enterprises. His life trajectory reflects the broader patterns of gang involvement, criminal conduct, and the eventual consequences faced by members of such organizations. While specific details about Weatherall's early life remain limited, his association with the ABT indicates a deep entrenchment in the gang's culture and operations. The ABT, established in the early 1980s within the Texas prison system, was modeled after the California-based Aryan Brotherhood. It offered protection to white inmates and was characterized by a structured hierarchy, including ranks such as generals, majors, captains, and soldiers. Members were expected to adhere to a strict code of conduct, with the gang's constitution outlining rules and procedures. Prospective members, or prospects, underwent a period of evaluation, during which they were often tasked with carrying out violent acts to prove their loyalty. Weatherall's criminal endeavors came under intense scrutiny during a comprehensive federal investigation targeting white supremacist gangs in North Texas. This probe, which began around 2008, aimed to dismantle the criminal networks of gangs like the ABT, Aryan Circle, and others involved in drug trafficking and violent crimes. The investigation culminated in the indictment of 91 individuals, marking it as the largest prosecution in U.S. history focusing on white supremacist prison gang members. In March 2017, Weatherall pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. He was the 89th and final defendant sentenced in this extensive case, receiving a 20-year federal prison term. Collectively, the convicted individuals were held accountable for distributing approximately 956 kilograms of methamphetamine, valued at nearly $10 million. The defendants had a combined total of 736 prior convictions, encompassing drug offenses, violent crimes, and other felonies. The successful prosecution of Weatherall and his associates dealt a significant blow to the operational capabilities of the ABT and similar gangs in North Texas. U.S. Attorney John Parker highlighted the collaborative efforts of federal and local law enforcement agencies in bringing these individuals to justice. The case underscored the shift of white supremacist gangs from ideologically driven entities to organized criminal enterprises primarily focused on drug trafficking and related crimes. Weatherall's conviction serves as a testament to the effectiveness of coordinated law enforcement efforts in addressing gang-related activities. It also reflects the broader challenges posed by prison gangs that extend their influence beyond correctional facilities, impacting communities through violence and the distribution of illicit substances. Jeremy Weatherall's life story is emblematic of the dangers associated with gang involvement and the far-reaching consequences of criminal conduct. His rise within the ranks of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas and subsequent conviction highlight the persistent threat posed by such organizations. The comprehensive federal investigation and successful prosecution of Weatherall and his cohorts demonstrate the critical importance of sustained, collaborative efforts in combating organized crime and safeguarding communities from the pervasive influence of gangs. Number 3. Victor Gonzalez. Victor Javier Gonzalez, a Houston resident born in 1988, was a key figure in the Southwest Cholos, a violent street gang that operated in Texas and Mexico. His criminal activities, particularly in human trafficking and illegal firearms dealing, led to his conviction and imprisonment. The Southwest Cholos were involved in various criminal enterprises, including sex trafficking, drug trafficking, human smuggling, and firearms offenses. From 2009 to 2017, the gang lured immigrant women to the U.S. with false promises of legitimate employment. Upon arrival, these women were forced into prostitution in brothels controlled by the gang, primarily located in Houston's Gulfton neighborhood. Victims were subjected to threats, physical abuse, and were often tattooed with the names or nicknames of their traffickers to signify ownership and control. In November 2017, Gonzalez was among 22 individuals indicted for their roles in the Southwest Cholos' criminal activities. He was charged with being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm, a charge that carries a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment. In a significant development, Gonzalez was sentenced to 50 months in prison for illegal firearm dealing and possession, marking the first prison sentence in the 2017 Gulfton gang brothel case. The investigation into the Southwest Cholos was a collaborative effort involving multiple agencies, including the FBI, DEA, ICE's Homeland Security Investigations, and local law enforcement. This operation was part of the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force and the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance, aiming to dismantle organized criminal networks involved in human trafficking and related offenses. The prosecution of Gonzalez and other gang members highlighted the pervasive issue of human trafficking and the exploitation of vulnerable populations. While significant strides have been made in bringing perpetrators to justice, efforts continue to locate and apprehend remaining fugitives associated with the Southwest Cholos. The case underscores the importance of coordinated law enforcement actions in combating organized crime and protecting victims of trafficking. Number 2. the life and criminal activities of Bobby Dale. Bear Bony of the Aryan Circle. Bobby Dale Bony, also known by his alias Bear, is a prominent figure within the Aryan Circle, AC, a white supremacist prison gang that originated in Texas. Born in Sulphur Springs, Texas, Bony's involvement with the AC has led to significant legal consequences, including federal convictions for violent crimes. The Aryan Circle was established in 1985 within the Texas Department of Corrections as a splinter group from the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. The group was formed to maintain criminal activities and white supremacist ideologies, opposing African American and Hispanic prison gangs. Over the years, the AC expanded its influence beyond prison walls, engaging in various criminal enterprises, including drug trafficking, assault, and murder. The gang is known for its strict hierarchy and the enforcement of loyalty through violence. In October 2016, Bony was involved in a violent assault orchestrated by the AC leadership. The attack targeted a former member who intended to leave the gang, an act considered a severe violation of the AC's code. Bony, along with other members, planned the assault during a meeting referred to as a church and executed the attack in a park near Tyler, Texas. The victim suffered serious injuries, including being kicked in the head while on the ground. This incident was part of a broader federal investigation known as Operation Noble Virtue, which aimed to dismantle the AC's criminal network. The operation led to the indictment of 24 individuals associated with the gang on charges ranging from racketeering to drug trafficking. Bony's involvement in the assault resulted in a guilty plea for assault resulting in serious bodily injury in aid of racketeering. Following the indictments, law enforcement agencies, including the Texas Department of Public Safety SWAT units, attempted to serve Bony with an arrest warrant in Hopkins County. Although initial efforts to locate him at a residence near County Road 2174 were unsuccessful, Bony was later found in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and subsequently turned himself in at the Hopkins County Jail. Bony's guilty plea and subsequent sentencing underscore the federal government's commitment to combating organized crime and white supremacist violence. The collaborative efforts of multiple law enforcement agencies have been instrumental in disrupting the operations of the Aryan Circle and holding its members accountable for their actions. Bobby Dale Bony's trajectory within the Aryan Circle highlights the dangers posed by prison gangs that perpetuate violence and hate. His involvement in orchestrated assaults and adherence to the gang's violent code exemplify the challenges law enforcement faces in addressing such criminal organizations. The successful prosecution of Bony and his associates serves as a testament to the effectiveness of coordinated efforts in dismantling dangerous networks and promoting public safety. Number 1. The criminal career of Stephen Walter Cook, Aryan Brotherhood of Texas leader. Stephen Walter Cook, also known by the alias Stainless, was a high-ranking member of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, ABT, a white supremacist prison and street gang. His involvement in the gang's violent activities led to multiple federal convictions, including a life sentence for murder. The ABT was established in the early 1980s within the Texas prison system, modeling itself after the California-based Aryan Brotherhood. Initially focused on the protection of white inmates and promoting white supremacist ideologies, the ABT evolved into a criminal enterprise involved in drug trafficking, assault, and murder. The gang operates both inside and outside of prison walls, enforcing its rules through violence and intimidation. Cook held the rank of general within the ABT, indicating a leadership position with authority over other members. His role involved orchestrating violent acts to enforce the gang's code and eliminate threats to its operations. On October 12, 2008, Cook murdered Scott Freeman, a member of a rival ABT faction. Freeman had been recruiting members from Cook's faction, leading to a green light order to assault or kill him. Cook lured Freeman under the pretense of traveling together, then shot him 6 times, resulting in Freeman's death. Cook pleaded guilty to committing a violent crime in aid of racketeering activity and was sentenced to life in federal prison on May 3, 2012. In September 2008, Cook and 11 other ABT members brutally beat a prospective member at Cook's home in Tomball, Texas. The assault was a punishment for violating gang rules and served as a warning to others. Cook pleaded guilty to racketeering aggravated assault and received an 87-month federal prison sentence to run concurrently with his life sentence. In addition to his violent crimes, Cook was convicted of being a felon in possession of firearms. Authorities found 13 firearms, over 300 rounds of ammunition, and body armor at his residence. He was sentenced to 96 months in federal prison for this offense. Stephen Walter Cook's criminal activities as a leader of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas highlight the dangers posed by prison gangs that extend their influence beyond prison walls. His convictions for murder, assault, and firearms violations demonstrate the federal government's commitment to dismantling such organizations and holding their members accountable.